Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. You'll probably do that again. All right, all right. Good morning, everybody. Top of the hour. Good afternoon. Please put in the chat where you are tuning in from. If you're in Atlanta or you're in another part of the world, welcome to the Power Hour. It's 8:33 a.m. February 4th. Unbelievable. We're actually in February already. Thank you for sharing your time. The Power Hour is 1 hour, where the hour shall pass, believe it or not, but the power continues, and we try to motivate and inspire, if we can, educate you to continue the power among yourselves. My name is Ricardo Berries. I'm the chairman for the Global Opportunities Committee of the Atlanta Black Chambers. And this is a recorded session, so it will be available also on YouTube whenever you'd like to watch it again. Also, feel free to give the Chamber and the Global Opportunities Committee some love over there on YouTube. It's pretty easy. Go to YouTube and find Global Opportunities Committee, find the Atlanta Black Chambers, show some love, subscribe. If this is helpful for you, if this has been helpful for you over the last few weeks, welcome to those who are new. And of course, big shout out to those who have always supported our weekly programming. You may ask, what's the GOC? We are a committee of the chamber, focuses on global opportunities, bringing you opportunities from around the world, helping you to understand how to do business internationally, helping you to understand who else is doing the things that you're interested in doing. And so it's whether it's trade, doing more trade with each other, partnership and investments. And so that's essentially what we're doing. And we want to track what you're doing. So we want you to tell us what you're doing, and we want to track those transactions and track those deals. We have a private community that when you join the GOC, you will be able to be a part of that, and you can see the opportunities that our leaders share, or members share, you share, and you can work together and take advantage of that. And it's pretty good. It's good to be in company, and it's good to be associated with a community. You can't do this by yourself. So, just so you know, if you're looking to be great and doing things globally, you can't do it in isolation. You got to have a community, and this is a platform that allows you to do just that. I want to give a big shout out also to our regional leaders. Our regional leads are like our eyes and ears and boots on the ground for us, and they're all over the world, right? I see some of them here on the call. Big shout out to Mark, who is in UAE, Dubai, and NC is here from South Africa. Um, C. Sandiford is there from the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. So there are people who are from different parts of the world that are part of this community. And what that means is that you have access. You have access. I see Barbara here. For Zimbabwe, you have access to these folks who can help you to connect you. Ijeoma from Nigeria and Samuel. So you've got a lot of different folks who can help you in your quest. And doing business international is like playing golf. If you've not played golf before, one swing is not going to get you a hole in one. You got to practice and you got to do it. You got to do it pretty often. But we're here to help, and we're always going to be here to see how best we can help you. If you are interested in becoming an international member of the chamber, you don't need to be in Atlanta to do so. You can be a part of the chamber from anywhere. You know, our regional leads can help you to actually do that as well. And it's the best time to be a part of this community because it will never be the same again as we work on improving this going into the future. So now is your time. Today we have a special guest who and big shout out to Samuel. Samuel Adimi is our communications lead for GOC, and he's based in Nigeria. He does all of these things from Nigeria. So the next time you talk to him, give him a round of applause or applaud him, commend him for the great work that he does. And Samuel is going to be featured on the Tuesday Talk next week. One of the things that we're doing is we are going to be featuring our leaders from around the world on Tuesday Talk every month. And so February is going to be Samuel, and Samuel will be featured. So please make sure you join Tuesday Talk to hear about Samuel and his business. He's an incredible human being, and he doesn't sleep. So you can get to him anytime you wish. So thank you, Samuel, for all the stuff that you do. And Samuel was the one who introduced me to Kayode. And and so I think this is going to be a very interesting discussion, lots to learn. And I want to bring Kayode on stage now. Kayode, would love for you to unmute and bring your face up so folks can see you. Good morning and good afternoon from Atlanta, and we would love for our folks here to get to know who you are. Tell us a little bit about Kayode and give us some background, and we can get into our discussion about solving dispute, which I think everybody wants to know because we always get into fights, and we like to get into fights. So we want to figure out how do we um, how do we resolve these things. So please go ahead, Coyote. Good morning, and tell us a little bit about who you are and tell us what you do, please.
Okay, so my name is Kayode Adeniji. I am a lawyer. I'm based in Lagos. I run a corporate commercial law firm in Lagos, Nigeria. Um, also, I am a founder of All Arbitrates International. It's a legal tech company that helps to resolve disputes faster and fairly. Also, I am a trade advisor, Nigerian trade advisor to Zocom International. Zocom is like a consulting company for different economic council in different states in America that are coming into Africa to trade. And I've been the consultant since 2021, 22. In 2023, I hosted the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation in their trade mission to Nigeria. And my passion had always been that I would like to see um, international business people coming to Nigeria to do business without any hassle, without any troubles. And this led me into some loggerheads with run-ins with the government of Nigeria in 2020 when the Corporate Affairs Companies and Allied Matters Act law was brought into law in 2020. And part of those provisions were not things that focused on the ease of doing business. The federal government, dealt into religious and NGOs, and I said, no, this cannot be right. If you want us to do business, let us do business. Don't mix business with politics or religious or anything. And I wrote a legal opinion, and one of the lawyers in Nigeria took up my legal opinion, took it to court to challenge what the federal government of Nigeria had done. And the court agreed with every point I made with that law. And certain sections in that law have been nullified. So it does not apply. But the federal government, kept on, the law is still in force, but those provisions that I pointed out are no longer in force. So that has always been my passion, and that's what I do.
Awesome, awesome. Now you're gonna have to school us a little bit because, and I want to do this in plain English, Coyote. This thing about arbitration. So I want to take us back in plain English. To what exactly is this, and what problem does this arbitration solve, if you may?
Okay, so I'll just take it back to historically, humans have always had a way of settling their disputes. For us in Africa, if you had a dispute with anyone, you would take it to the chief or the traditional rulers, and they will settle it and come up with a judgment that is maybe favorable to all. Some lose, some win. But after, the colonial rule in Africa, they brought on the legal system of the English, and then our main source of settling disputes became an alternative, and litigation and court appearances became a thing because the English people came to introduce us that this is another way to settle disputes where you tender evidence and all of that. But I think as time went on, the world realized that the English system of settling dispute because of their colonial conquest in different nations became very, balkanized and divided. So if I am a lawyer in Nigeria, I couldn't go to an English court to tender my case. I would need to practice as a lawyer, to have a license to practice as a lawyer in England, to have a license to practice as a lawyer in New York or anywhere else in the world. So if I have a client in Nigeria who has invested in New York and he's having a problem with his partner in New York, and he has always been talking to me as a lawyer, I couldn't go to New York to advocate for my client in any before any tribunal or any court. I would need to get a lawyer from New York who probably doesn't know my client as much as I do, and is going to be, representing my client without any depth or any conviction, so to say. So in 1958, we had what we call the New York Convention. The world now realized that if this legal system persists, people will not be able to trade with each other. There will always be that roadblock and a blocker for people who want to trade. So they came up with the Enforcement of Arbitral Awards Convention, where about 172 nations. So basically what that convention is saying is that we now want to be settling our dispute by arbitration. Arbitration is a private arrangement, private litigation organized by two parties who are disagreeing on an issue. And those two parties will have the powers to choose the person that will settle their dispute for them. those two parties will have the powers to choose the venue, whether they want to have it in a room, or they want to have it in a hotel, or they want to have it on the beach. And then both of them will also have the power to determine how long it's going to take. Instead of taking 10 years, both of them can say, okay, with 2 months of our life, we can dedicate it to ensuring that this neutral person that we have both appointed is going to settle our dispute for us. So if I choose the person, if I say that I'm choosing Sam as the arbitrator, and the other party says to me, no, I do not want Sam as an arbitrator. I do not think he's going to do right by me. I have another person I'm going to bring on board. And you have another person you bring on board. If I do not agree to that, then there will be a stalling of the process. So we now had institutions that came up to say, both of you disagree. If you want to have your arbitrations, even though both of you have powers, we can help you to
Mm.
appoint a neutral person if both of you cannot agree to a neutral person. So that's why you will have what we call, International Chamber of Commerce Dispute Resolution Service. So they will usually have institutions where they will appoint people for you. But basically, arbitration is two people, parties. It could be more than two, maybe four on each side, saying that we have a dispute in our business relationship, in a contract, and we would like to resolve it. We are not of the same ethnicity or nationality, but we would like to have it resolved without any jurisdictional or national boundary or barriers. That's
Yeah.
basically what arbitration is.
Interesting. And so I'm here in America. I have got a business. I'm coming to Nigeria to do business. Got into some kind of a contract with a Nigerian company. We run into a wall. We can't move forward. When is the right time to say, you know what, let's go sit down and work through this? Because, in America, a lot of times the first place we go to is to sue. We say, listen, man, I'm going to let you talk to my lawyer because we're going to sue you. And if you watch the American media, everybody's getting sued these days. So everybody is kind of careful about what they say and how they say because this one sues this one for when is the time to do the arbitration? Because it feels like the court is the last resort, perhaps, based on what I'm learning about this. But when is the right time? When do you say, you know what? Let's start with the arbitration before we get to the court and all the other stuff.
So this would take me back to the New York Convention of 1958. That convention was basically for business interests. People, business people know that time is the real value beyond money. The people you talked about in America who say, I'm going to sue you, could be for torts, maybe medical negligence or a lack of adequate customer service or something that hurts them. But with the New York Convention, these are our business people who have put money down and they know that time affects the vagaries of foreign exchange and the value of money. So arbitration is for business. Basically, it started as business, but now different nations are trying to adopt the same model to settle matrimonial disputes for the sake of privacy and all of that. But when do you begin? You begin as you have stated in your contract. So if I have any business dealing with you about maybe supply of goods, and we'll state it in that agreement that if any dispute arise as a result of the business we're doing together, we are going to have it resolved by arbitration. Or we can say that we are going to have it resolved by negotiation. So there are different alternative means of resolving disputes. We have arbitration, mediation, and negotiation and conciliation. But most of the time in business, it is stated and it is contract driven because it is both of us. We write there that if there is any dispute that is arising from the business dealings we are having, is going to be resolved first by both parties coming together to negotiate and talk over it. If that talk fails, parties can either go to mediation. So mediation is when you call a neutral party to moderate between the both of you. and the neutral party gets what compromise you can reach, what compromise the other party can reach, and then once both of you agree to that compromise, that neutral party is not giving you his own decision. He's aggregating the decision of both parties and reducing it to writing, and it becomes binding. It is binding because both of you agreed in your agreement that you're going to have these proceedings. Now, parties can also choose arbitration. So arbitration is where you choose a neutral party who is an expert, is going to hear both sides as if you are in a court of law, and is going to give his final decision that we call the award. So arbitration comes when there is already a disagreement and you can see that the agreement and the contract is being frustrated. That is the time that you need to then write to the other party and say, by this writing, I am triggering an arbitration process and I have appointed this particular person as the arbitrator.
So thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about this cross-border sort of deal. So, everything that we do between countries, they're cross borders, obviously, right? So we're making these cross-border deals, and the risk that's involved in actually making a deal. Talk about those risks that sometimes people are not necessarily thinking about, and this dispute thing can get pretty expensive pretty quickly. How do you sort of de-risk all of that, and what should people be thinking about as they enter into these kinds of deals?
So I think the first step for anyone, I've also been in-house counsel at Honeywell, and I noticed that during my stay there as the head of litigation, most of the things that happened that gave me a lot of palpitation was that at the point of the agreement, maybe the commercial department weren't foreseeing certain eventualities, and we're in this situation. So the first point is the contract drafting. You need to have in your contract as a business person, the first thing you should go to is just go down the agreement and say, where is the arbitration clause? If you're going to have an NDA in your contract to say, oh, I want this to be private, you don't want people to know, I think you should also look for the arbitration clause. So in the arbitration clause, you are determining, where are we going? Should the venue be in New York? Should the venue be in Nigeria? Do I have enough capital to travel back and forth for a physical arbitration meeting? How many arbitrators do we require? What is the size of the transaction? If the size of the transaction is that big, for example, I was involved in the arbitration of Econet and Airtel in Nigeria. So if the value is that big, then you need three-man panel so that the other party chooses one arbitrator, appoints one arbitrator without any opposition from you. You appoint your own arbitrator without any opposition from the other party. And then these two arbitrators appointed by both parties will then come together to agree on a neutral person who we call the chairman. So in your agreement, you need to know the size of the transaction, whether you need only one person to be the chairman or you need three people. And all of these are there. What language do you want to speak during the arbitration? Do you want it to be English, or do you want it to be, a Swedish language, depending? You also need, in that agreement, you need to agree on the fact that parties need to bear their own cost of arbitration. And if the other party does not come to the arbitration table and does not join issues with you during the arbitration, you have the right to sponsor the entire arbitration proceedings, obtain an award, and be able to enforce it against the losing party. So you are looking at the country of the losing party. Will you be able to enforce arbitral award against that person? Does that person have properties in their country? that you can enforce award against, whether their bank account or some kind of property. All of this is determined at the time when you're drafting the agreement. So the
Mm,
common problem we have seen is that during agreement, parties don't see the end-to-end of disputes and arbitration. Um, Another one is appointment of arbitrators, number two. Parties, most of the time, do not carry out due diligence on the arbitrator to know about the level of neutrality. Um, Even though that the practice of arbitration requires arbitrators to disclose if you have any affiliation with any of the parties, just for the sake of fairness. I think that it behoves on parties or business people to know that this person who is going to be presiding over this dispute is fair, has integrity, because mind you, arbitration cannot be challenged. You cannot appeal against an arbitral award in any court because all these countries have signed in the New York Convention, about 172 nations, that if we get any award, any arbitral award from any country, we are going to honor it. The only
mm.
reason why you can appeal against it is if you can prove to the court that one of the arbitrators have acted in a manner that compromises fairness. So parties need to ask questions about the arbitrator, ask the arbitrator straight questions. Who are you? Do you have any affiliations with the counterparty I'm having? Just questions that can be recorded for future purposes. The third one is, okay, I've talked about due diligence and appointment. The third one is fee. Most of the time, parties don't know what it costs. A lot of arbitral institutions, they have their own fixed charges, and they just charge you what they feel is their value. And we have seen that most of the time, when parties have this sort of dispute, and they are about to begin arbitration proceedings, arbitrators give them a bill or their fee, and parties don't show up again. And at the end of the day, people abandon their rights. They are left with a lot of pain. They don't want to come back to that country anymore. So what we have done, the solution that I have created is to say that you can have arbitration while you are in your country. You don't need to come to Nigeria. You can verify every arbitrator online, and then you can appoint them online. And their payment is tied to the cost of the arbitration, maybe about 10%. So parties need to know what is going to cost. Parties also need to know enforcement. If the other party does not comply with the award, then you need to take the arbitral award to the court of that country and say, I have an arbitration award against this person, but he doesn't want to comply. I would like this award to be adopted as the judgment of the court. Once the court, and you can do that in every country according to the New York Convention. Once the court stamps and says this arbitral award is now a judgment emanating from this court, they will send the sheriff to wherever that person is, whether it's an account he has in the country or a property, as a lien to satisfy the award. So parties need to know the climate of enforcement, how the court system works.
Wow. Wow. So you're saying to me that an NDA, I need to be careful about if I even start with an NDA and say, you know what, Kayode, you and I will enter into an NDA. I need to look for that arbitration, say, if you disclose any of my information that should have been confidential, we're not yet even into contract. Is that what you're saying? We don't have any deal or nothing contractual yet, but we do decide that we're going to exchange information. I'm going to start with an NDA. You're saying we've got to look for the arbitration clause and to make sure that that is covered inside of it. Is that what I'm understanding?
Every contract is an agreement. Whether it's an MOU, is an agreement. Both parties are having the same intentions to come into an agreement. So once you reduce anything into writing and the other party breaches that agreement of trust, there must be a way to resolve it. So I sign an NDA with you, and then I find out that you're already working with a competition. How do I seek redress? And I do not want that thing to go outside. I don't go to court because court is a public place. Anybody can go to court and find the records there of the information I shared with you. If I'm in open court, other people are going to be in court listening to what we're going to be saying. So If there is a breach of that NDA, there should be an arbitration course where you and I can come and have one arbitrator who can say, you actually did that to Kayode. You need to
Yeah.
pay him some kind of compensation. Every agreement on earth requires an arbitration clause.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. So we got to make sure that we look out for it. I want to pause for a second because usually at 9 we feature we invite one of our members, one of our partners, Coyote, for a spotlight, we call it, and it's a member spotlight. Our community has a number of business, any number of business owners. And if you are a GOC member, ABC member, one of the benefits that you get is to come on stage to talk a little bit about what you're doing, talk a little bit about something that you've got going on. And so it's that moment now where we would like to bring up one of our members. I think I saw him in the room earlier, Corey from Atlanta Black Expo, and I shouldn't say from Atlanta Black Expo because he's from someplace else. He produces the Atlanta Black Expo. Good morning, Corey. Thank you for jumping in. You have a lot of stuff happening. You're super busy. I wanted to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell the folks. I think you've met a lot of folks here before, but tell the folks who you are and tell us what's happening with the Atlanta Black Expo, the Super Bowl of Black business. And Coyote, I don't know if you knew this, but you should be here. You know, you should be at the Super Bowl for the Black Expo because I could promise you, folks probably need some Coyote eyes on their contracts to make sure that they've got those arbitration in there. Corey, take it away.
Well, thank you. I truly appreciate the opportunity to speak to all. And good morning for some of us, good afternoon for some of y'all, good evening for some of y'all, I would imagine. But Corey Network King is what they call me. My company is Pro Networker. We have been in business now 15 years and been doing the same two things for 15 years, which is one, educating people on how to grow their business through networking. And the second thing is creating these events and networking opportunities for them, which has been phenomenal. So we have several different events that we do. But Ricardo was talking about our largest event in our portfolio right now, which is the Atlanta Black Expo. We are not the founders of the Atlanta Black Expo. Atlanta hasn't had a true Black Expo for several years, but we picked up the reins of the concept. Actually, it'll be 4 years ago. This event coming up is our fourth event, and we are growing. When we started, we were in 36,000 square feet, had maxed out at 120 exhibitors. Last year, we went to 105,000 square feet, had 240 exhibitors. This year, we will be at 196,000 square feet and looking to do, our goal is 300 plus exhibitors and 3 to 5,000 people. So we do coin this the Black Business Super Bowl. It is a celebration of Black businesses. We are the only expo of this size in the Southeast that is multi-industry. So it doesn't matter whether you're in the hair business, whether you are in the food business, whether you are in the pet business, it doesn't matter. We have room for you. And our goal is for a person to walk into our expo and whatever their interest is, they see representation of that thing with somebody who looks like them. So if you go to atlblackexpo.com, which I'll put that information in the chat, you'll be able to find it. Again, it's February 20th through the 22nd. So we are less than 3 weeks away. Woo! Super excited. Again, we're going to be at the Georgia World Congress Center. So yeah, this is and we have 3 days of fun. The first day is all education, workshops, and things like that. That night, we're doing what's called Black Foodie Friday, where we are going to be doing a black food tasting event and competition. Saturday and Sunday are our exhibitor days. Saturday night, we are doing actually like a homecoming tailgate after party, at the expo as well. So that's going to be old school music, game night, all that good stuff. Lots going on. lots going on. So again, we are very, very excited to have it. And if you're here in Atlanta and you're on this call, you need to be at the Atlanta Black Expo, number one, whether you are a vendor, whether you are an attendee, or you just share it with somebody. If you're going to be out of town or can't make it, share it with somebody. Let people know. The biggest thing that we need right now is awareness, letting people know that because the Atlanta Black Expo has not been in Atlanta for years, we're now saying, hey, we just need to get the word out. Whether you can come or not, we just need to get the word out so that this gets familiar to people when they come in. Yes, what else is the $65 for all access? Listen, Ricardo, real quick. We had three events that were happening for the expo. It was the Friday workshops, the Saturday, and the Sunday vendor showcase. To go to all of those was $35. We then added two other activations, which was the Black Foodie Friday and the Saturday after party. And we should have increased the price. But I said, no, for this year, let's just keep it the same. So essentially, for $35, you get five activations. And for $65, you get those five, but you get some cherries on top. All right. It is literally a steal this year. And I promise you, Cody, I'm sorry if you can't make it this year. Next year, the price is going to be more. I promise you, next year, the price is going to be more. So I'll tell you guys, it to the very least get you the $35 ticket. It is more than worth what you're paying. So,
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Corey. And it's always for attendees of these things, I think we're always kind of the beneficiary of the steal, right? Because we always get to steal these deals because they don't necessarily show up that much. And here's the thing, guys, if you're outside of the country and you're listening to this conversation, there's there's got to be someone out here that you need to come and observe this Atlanta Black Expo. And Corey, one question for you, for those people who may be questioning, so what is when you say black, what does it actually mean? Do I have to be African? Do I have to be to what do you actually mean for me to come to the expo if I want to exhibit? I know we as the Global Opportunities Committee Go Global, we actually have an international feature that we're putting together. So if you are outside of the country, you don't have a US or Atlanta-based registered business, you can actually exhibit within our section, and we could probably talk a little bit about that. But what exactly does it mean, Corey, when you say it's a Black Expo, you have to be a Black exhibitor? To
yeah.
explain that for folks who may not understand.
So the Black Expo, the Atlanta Black Expo features Black businesses. Okay. So the whole goal is for this to be a showcase of Black businesses. Um, One of our policies is it either needs to be Black owned or Black represented. So what does that mean? So obviously, if you're the owner, you're a Black person, regardless of what country you're from, whatever, you're a Black person, you identify as a Black person, um, and you start your own business, you start your own cookie business, you start your own carpet cleaning business, whatever the case is, great, you're in. But let's say that it's Black represented. So like there's a company here in the States called Mary Kay, which I'm sure they're national or international. Mary Kay, which is an independent direct sales cosmetic company. So with that, it is not Black owned, but when a person actually joins the company and they buy in, they are actually the owner of their own agency. So, and they would be Black. So with that, that would also be Black, quote unquote, Black represented. Let's say that you work for Marriott and you're a salesperson for Marriott hotels, and Marriott is not owned by a Black person, but you are the Black person and you directly benefit from the sales of your activities with that. Then you could have an exhibitor table at the event. So it's one of those to where, again, we want to showcase anyone who, again, uses loosely, identifies as Black. Um, and to support those people. Now, the event is open to anybody to come to the event. So if you are non-black, you whatever the case is, definitely open because we want not just black folks to support black folks, but we also want allies who are not black to, but also support black to be able to support black businesses as well. So, and Ricardo,
Yeah.
you brought up something very important for those of you that can't make it this year, and especially like if you're out of country and you can't make it this year. Listen, we are going to be here next year. So go ahead and mark your calendars for next February 2027. February 27 is actually going to be our 5-year anniversary for doing this event. And I can go ahead and tell you guys right now, we are going to go big. We are going to go big. We are going to announce when that is. And we got to wait for the venue. So we typically won't know until about August, September of this year when the date for the one is in February. But you can go to like our Instagram, ATL Black Expo. Um, you can actually, again, go to our website, subscribe. You can go
Yeah.
to, and I'll put that information in the chat here. But you can go there and subscribe to our newsletter so that you'll actually be on the list and stuff like that. So you'll hear about these things. So
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Corey. And then that's what you do when you're five. You go big. I mean, every 5-year-old that I know want a big birthday cake and
want a
want
big
a big
birthday
party.
cake.
They want to go big. So you absolutely do that. But thank you for sharing this. And again, if you are outside of the United States, so I see someone says they're from Tanzania or Nigeria or wherever you can be a part of that international feature. So what we would like to do with our partnership with the Atlanta Black Expo every February is to bring an inbound delegation in from anywhere in the world to come into Atlanta, experience the expo, experience the celebration of Black History, because there's that's February, and you get to participate. So you can be an exhibitor, and you can be in that section that we have, that international feature section. And so this, our goal is to have this feature so that you who are not Atlanta-based or US-based business have an opportunity to showcase and introduce. The other day we had Invest Atlanta on our call and talk about piloting partnership. So you now can get an exhibit to pilot your partnership and test, if you may, the waters, right? To see if this market works for you, if it's a good fit, bring your stuff in. And so we're saying that we're able to help you if you'd like. So feel free to reach out. I know there are a few folks, Corey, from South Africa, Kenya, and other spaces that says, "Hey, I want to be a part of this. I want to come and get me an exhibit that I can showcase some of my wear, African wear, Caribbean wear, whatever, wherever you're from in terms of location, you're welcome and you're invited to do that. But there's no time because this is the 11th hour. So we are running out of time and we need you to make that decision yesterday so that we can get this thing going. And yeah, trust me, there will be an arbitration clause in there too when you sign up for an exhibit. So Coyote, we got that covered. We're certainly excited about that. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it. Looking
Thank you
forward
for
to
the
seeing
time.
all of you. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. And we are going to be doing more collaboration with Ricardo. Let me tell you, and I've said this on some other calls, but I'll make sure I say it on this one. Ricardo, you're doing a phenomenal job, leading this group and stuff like that. But a lot of that is based on your personality and your openness to collaborate. Before I leave this call, I want you guys to know collaboration is key. Collaboration is key. There is absolutely no reason for you to do this thing alone. If you are doing this alone, you are spending too much money on client acquisition, and that could end up causing you to go out of business. So you definitely want to make sure that currently in your business, if there's not somebody who you are collaborating with to where you guys have a similar target market, but you guys do different things, but you guys have bound together to lower your acquisition costs, to lower your efficiencies when it comes to getting that client. If you are not doing that right now, please make sure that you are putting your information in the chat and connecting with somebody that's here because everybody's here is really essentially here for the same reasons. and are thinking similar on the same path. So with
Yeah.
that, make sure you do that. I would not be able to be here where I'm at today if I didn't understand collaboration and I didn't understand the power of my database, meeting more people, meet more people. If you have a goal this year, one of those goals should be to meet more people. It's
Yes,
that simple. Meet more people. I can't stress that
absolutely.
enough.
Absolutely. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Appreciate the networking coming in with that. I wanna go back. We're gonna launch a poll. We have a couple more minutes before we head out of here, Coyote. I want to come back to the second half of our conversation real quick, but I'll go ahead and launch the poll. Excuse me. I'll go ahead and launch a poll so that we can kind of get a feedback on you as to any fear you may have around investing in the continent, and what are those fears? And then in terms of dispute, how long do you think disputes typically last? Coyote, I want to bring you back on to talk a little bit about this sort of choosing the right path because, I know there's negotiation versus mediation, or, is it mediation versus arbitration, or is it arbitration versus court? And so these are different sort of ways that, or pathways, I would say, that people may be interested in sort of choosing. How do you decide? In how do you decide sort of which path to choose based on the kind of whether the kind of business or the location, what influences what area, what path you choose to take?
Thank you, Ricardo. And thank you, Corey, for I really gained a lot of things from what Corey had just said. And it just made me think really deeply about certain things. So, with regards to the path to take, most of the time it is based on the attitude of the other parties. If the breach is as a result of the other parties' inactions, negligence, or omission, without any attempt to remedy such breach or omission, most of the time you'll find the party that has been that is losing, the losing party, insisting on arbitration to say, I will go through the part of arbitration because it's going to give me my right, because you have done what you have done without any attempt to remedy your breach. So if there is no attempt of the breaching party to remedy that breach, I would say you go to arbitration, where the neutral party or the neutral tribunal can tell you what your rights and what the obligation of the other party are. But where you see that the other party, the breach arises from situations that are out of the control of the other party, maybe like an act of God or something that brought about the breach, I would say you should do mediation, where both parties can say, you have reached the agreement, but I understand that you had certain limitations, certain constraints, or things happen to you that I really understand. Let's do mediation, where a neutral party can talk to both of us on what we can compromise on. So if what you're supposed to pay me is $100 million, I will collect maybe a $50 million, knowing that the breach didn't was not entirely as a result of your negligence and failure to remedy. So if you find out the other party is not flexible, deviant, I think that arbitration is the adversarial
Yeah.
path to take. But if you find the other party who has acknowledged that, yes, we dropped the ball, yes, we are coming clean that this is what has gone wrong, then you either go through the part of negotiation and say, I will collect this, you can bring it. Or you say mediation, let them, let somebody aggregate our compromises and both parties can settle.
Fantastic, fantastic. And as we try to come to the home stretch here, if you have a question for Coyote, you may be in the middle of a dispute, you may suspect some things to happen, you're planning to strike a deal or getting to some sort of an agreement. Please raise your hand and we'll give you an opportunity to ask Coyote your question. And so let us know if you do. As we continue, the poll is there's about 41% of you that's participated. We always like to get to 50%, so please help us out with the other 9% that we need before we hop off here. But Coyote, prevention and preparedness. Let's talk a little bit about how do you prevent some of these things, because obviously they always say, I think it was my grandma, prevention is better than cure, and prevention costs less than curing. Early red flags. What are some of those early red flags or those sort of documentation habit that people get themselves into? And what does that look like in terms of a good way to spot or avoid those kinds of things? How do you prepare and how do you prevent?
Okay, so I think it was last week. I was talking about this same topic. It was online. I think the body is based in South Africa. Wealth creation, generational wealth creation, something. And they were also talking about what are those things. And I'll say, without mincing words, is due diligence on your business partner. I'll say it again, is due diligence on your business partner. Yes, you meet at those conferences. Yes, your vibe and all the discussions you have with the person was so sweet. But if you're about to put pen to paper, if you're about to transfer that money, if you're about to commit something to that business relationship, I would say just inform a professional, whether in the US or in Nigeria or in the country where you want to do a third party, a neutral person. Let them carry out some kind of due diligence on your partner because it goes to capacity, because in different agreements there will be undertakings as to what we can do, what we are capable of doing. You should know the capacity of the person. So I have been in arbitrations and dispute resolution where it was clear that this foreign investor didn't have, they met at conference, they were in the hotel, they were drinking tea and champagne and like, yeah, he's my friend. He showed me his family picture. I know he's a responsible man. We're not saying he's not a responsible man. An Indian company bringing their ships into Nigerian waters, they came to me and they said, oh, they want to have a business deal with this Nigerian partner who is a maritime company. They've borrowed about $20 million to bring the ship into Nigerian waters. So we explored all the free trade zone area they can go into. We explored all the, structure of the company and the JV. And then we realized that the missing part was that we don't know your partner. If anything goes wrong, our legal opinion to you is based on the attitude of your partner. And at that point, they paused and they told us, can you find out about our partner? So we realized that the partner was incorporated about maybe 6 months to that deal. We went to the office. It was not like a real office of the partner. Maybe they were sharing it with another person. But they met this person in a conference and they got it going. We were not at the conference. So I didn't have anything to gain by them not coming into Nigeria, because if they came into Nigeria, we will still be their legal representative, and that will be much more money for us. Well, what
Mm,
would be the value of my legal opinion if I told them or we give them an expert opinion to say, you can come into Nigeria, it's fine, your partner is okay, and then you pay us some retainer for the first 2 or 3 years because but that will be against our principle of integrity. And
yeah.
I'm in a country where there is already like a stereotype about the level of integrity. So some of us bear the brunt of the image that have been created by other people, other leaders, other politicians, and our stance on integrity. Sometimes people think it is too hard-lined because we already know what the stereotype is. So I will say to anyone, please do due diligence. You like them, you love them, they're your friends, but get a professional to do due diligence side. Do it online while you're there in the US with all the AI tools you can get, but
Yeah.
also do physical due diligence.
Yeah, that's very interesting. One of my colleagues always say, people will check you out, so you have to be checked out, right?
Mhm.
You have to be checked out. And one of the things that surprised me, even as an entrepreneur, investor, etc., is you can't find nothing for nobody online. You got no website, social media. There's nothing out there for them, and all they act on is a Gmail, and they want to do all this business with you in the form of millions of dollars, but like what you don't have a website, you don't have a corporate mail, none of those things. And here in the US, if you go on Google to check somebody out, ain't nothing coming up. There is no Google business, there's nothing. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, pause, because this is the due diligence piece that you're talking about. I like you very much. We
And
met on
Ricardo,
Zoom, etc., but you can't be
yeah,
checked out.
and Ricardo, it's not a crime if the website is a new one. It's
Yeah,
not a crime if the digital footprint didn't go way back. But if you're going to commit that huge sums of money, it cannot be like that. If you want to start something with somebody, you start small and then you grow into that big thing.
yeah.
And that's what we tell people. You cannot just go into this big transaction because really, even when you go online, people have a glorified image of themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't tell you the things they're not capable of doing. And people over promise and under deliver. So you have that is the world we are in. It's a world of deep fake. So if you're going to commit that, yes, majority of people paint their image to be your this and that, but you just need that level of with what I know about this person, what can I commit to this business relationship? Should I
Yes.
start with $10 million? Should I start with $50,000? Should I start with $5,000 and just test the waters and see
Yeah.
what happens with that?
Yeah.
So these are the things, conversations we need to be having as against saying, oh, that country, they're all corrupt. Oh, I did something there and something happened because she didn't go through the right channel.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. So we're on the home stretch, Coyote, and unfortunately, the hour has is coming up, and but the power is within the people, and we want to get your final sort of bit of advice. I like the idea of maybe a practical sort of a checklist or something, some simple to do that people can kind of think about in terms of a sort of a what do you do within 48 hours if a dispute begins or when a dispute begins. Some of the things that you can leave this conversation with to go to do as activities, right? Whether go review the contracts that you have, etc., just to make sure that you are on the right side of things, right? And protect yourselves. Your final bit of advice before we wrap this power hour up.
Final bit of advice, yes, always be with a legal representative. I think that everyone requires to be friends with a lawyer. I know that in the Western countries or where things are set up, people will charge you per hour, and sometimes the legal fee could be very exorbitant. But I think in the developing world, you can have access to lawyers with global view of things who can review contract to you from anywhere in the world, even interpret and do all of that for you, without, the heavy expense of Western nations. So once a dispute starts, you should get a legal mind. Legal minds are the same everywhere in the world. And if you can just get that first advice for a very minimal fee, or sometimes somebody who is your friend who can help you look at it before you then go into a full-blown, dispute resolution proceeding, I think you require. If you are doing good in life, you need a lawyer. It's not when things that are bad happen to you that you need a lawyer. There is no way, if you're moving forward, you need somebody by your side. So in this global age, it doesn't have to be a lawyer from your country. You can get that
Yes.
lawyer from a developing country at a cheaper rate or on a friendship level that can review things for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Seek a friend before you need a friend. And so, hey, we're coming into Nigeria in March, and I'd certainly be excited to meet you and press the flesh if you may. So certainly excited for that. We'll be out there in Lagos in March. We've got an outbound investment and trade delegation that we're coming into West Africa with. And so we'd love to round up all of your folks, Coyote, so we can meet and connect, build that bridge between ATL, US, and Nigeria, and obviously the rest of West Africa as well. We're welcoming some folks who are coming in this month for the inbound delegation that we're working on, the Atlanta Black Expo. We'll be doing some things together, some B2B. So there are lots of exciting things that's happening. Next week, we're actually going to be an MOU. You talk about an MOU earlier. We're doing an MOU signing right here on the Power Hour, where we'll be signing an MOU with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Business Council. 7 countries in one. And thanks to Sandy Ford Edwards, who is our regional lead for OECS, will be doing that right here on the Power Hour. So come tune in and come celebrate. You get to plug into the OECS network, and yes, you can buy your own island too, because all these little islands in the Caribbean, are ready for business and open for business. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you. I'm going to be doing a series that is a tech series, if you may, on building Go Global, and we've invited folks who want to kind of learn how we're building tech. We've got a software platform that we're putting together called Core. That's going to be bringing everything that we talk about that we're doing within the Go Global ecosystem, and we're bringing it all together, and we're going to talk about how we're building that. So we're ready for some demos, and we're going to start those demos. I think today at 11, if I'm not mistaken, or 10, coming up. So if you're interested in that, we'll be sharing that for our members and for our community to be a part of Core. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. The hour has come, 2 minutes over. The poll results. I see people on the poll. Coyote, they have no fear. A lot of people have no fear in doing business out there, and they want their stuff to be settled within 6 to 12 months, probably less as well. And so we appreciate you guys giving us your feedback and telling us how you think and feel about these kinds of disputes. So, ladies and gentlemen, and brothers and sisters, we thank you, and we will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great day. Make it count. The power is within you, and you now have it to do. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll definitely talk soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.